series, we know that you've provided your gunsmithing skills to a number of, shall I call them, eccentric characters. Can you, without mentioning any names, tell us about one or two of them?
Well, eccentricity and firearms don't normally go together, although I guess all shooters have eccentricities. Everybody has eccentricities, there's no doubt about it. One that springs to mind, and this goes back a few years, was a son of a well-established landed gentry type family in New Zealand, and he had inherited his father's shotguns. Good quality shotguns, I might add, Holland and Holland, Royals they were. And one of them was used and bounced around in the back of the farm Land Rover, and the other one was still in the case in nearly pristine condition. And he succeeded in breaking the stock of the one that was used on an everyday basis. And he bowled into the shop, put this thing on the counter, and he said, could you pop a new stock on that for me, please? He said, I'll be back about 3 o'clock. Would that be all right? And I spent 10 minutes explaining to him that it was a hand-built shotgun, and they probably spent 1.5 to 2 months making the stock on it originally, and there was no way I could just pop a stock on it and have it ready by 3 o'clock. We did subsequently make him a new stock, and he went away leaving the gun with us and had to go home and use the other gun that was in the case until such time as we'd made the new stock, which was about 3 months later. But yeah, a nice gun. The guy just didn't have any concept of what was involved. I had another customer, a good bloke and a keen hunter, whose philosophy in life was that nothing is ever designed perfectly, and everything he owned had to be modified.
Yes.
And he would be in to see me on a fairly regular basis with good quality firearms. And would be removing metal here or replacing something there or altering this or altering that. And the gun always worked as good as it did before I started it. And I could never often see the point in these improvements, but it made him happy, and he kept coming back and getting the work done, so I must have been doing it properly. But yeah, nothing was, his philosophy was nothing was ever designed perfectly.
You've got to wonder.
Yeah, but work-wise, stock making is always an interesting job. It's extremely time-consuming. I get a lot of satisfaction out of stock making, but it's an extremely time-consuming thing because it's all done totally by hand. But it gives me a lot of satisfaction to the finished product. Manufacture of parts at a lot of old guns and a lot of new guns for that matter, you simply cannot get parts for. So you have to make new parts from scratch, which can be challenging. I've made some interesting odds and ends over the years. The first part I made from scratch was when I was at high school, and I had a 38 Smith & Wesson revolver that I bought off a bloke on a street corner for £8 one night. And I'd been watching all the movies, and I knew that you could flip the cylinder out and give it a spin and give it a flick and snap the cylinder closed, and looked all very dramatic, and you still see it on films these days. But as was inevitable in all these cases, it broke the cylinder stop off where it pops up through the bottom of the frame to lock the cylinder. And I couldn't just go down to the shop and buy a new cylinder stop because we weren't supposed to have them in the first place. And I was taking metalwork as a 7 periods a week thing at high school. And luckily for me, it was unsupervised. It was all practical metalwork, no theory, and I was able to make whatever I wanted. So I sourced a suitable piece of tool steel and made an entirely new cylinder stop in the school workshops, and heat treated it and fitted it up, and it worked perfectly. But I never ever spun the cylinder and flicked it closed on a Smith & Wesson since. And there's really nothing that can't be made if you've got the patience and got the skills. And it's not really a question of making something, it's starting with a block of metal and knowing which parts to throw away.
Oh,
The piece is already in there, you just got to know which bits to throw away.
all right, that's classic. Thanks very much for that.